Welcome back Salty Gamers to the next video. Today I'm going to go over the Swgoh Farming Strategy 2024, which will heavily focus on the following: fleets and factions. So the emphasis on this is fleets will give you good crystal income and the factions should secure you for any future content that the CG brings out. So without further ado, let's get into it. So point of note, this is mainly focused on free to play, but a pay to play or a light spender can use this guide to give them focus on what to go for first. If you're ever wanting to spend, the priorities would be the Hyperdrive bundle, of which there's content out there to tell you the optimal time to do so, to pay for that bundle, and any Lightspeed bundles that might be relevant to what you're currently farming. Apart from that, I wouldn't recommend buying anything else apart from crystals if that's what you wish to do. The rest of this guide should be able to be focused fully free to play, and it will be featured on the channel in the new year, as I'm currently building this account from scratch, and it will be the main account going forward once I finish off the Ray rush. Okay, so starter teams. The first starter team will be for our light side, of which the good old Phoenix squad. So Phoenix will be in here, Zeb should be also available, and then our dark side squad is Aiden troopers. So there's a couple of variations. So we've got Hera, Kanan, Chopper. We need Rex. This is what makes Phoenix viable early on now, even though Hera's moved to a hard node, which makes it slightly longer farm. And then we've got Ezra in here because he doubles up on a Cantina node with Kanan, but you could also go for Sabine, which gives you your light and dark side farm early on. If you don't want to get Sabine, that's totally fine, you could run with what you can. Rex is available on 3F dark side hard, so it takes a little bit of time to get to him, and Kanan is in Squad Arena and Cantina 2. Hera is in 2F light side, Chopper's in Cantina Cantina shop. So it might take some time to get this team up and running, but that's what you want to prioritise. You can swap these two out depending if you want to do more hard mode farms, depending if what your refresh strategy is with crystals. Aiden is used, and the reason we go for Aiden troopers as opposed to the other troopers, it is for the first initial fleet that we build up. Plus our recovery for Galactic War is a little bit better, and she's still viable in PvP. She also runs into Grand Arena for a defensive team, but you don't need to fully invest in them early on. I'll go into that as we move on. So what do we do if we can't get to these teams to begin with? Well, first of all, we use what we were given. So we're given Luke and Anakin and Ahsoka. We're given Farm Boy Luke, Old Ben, and the other rebels. So use what you get given. Same with the dark side. Use Gideon and Dark Trooper. That should carry you for the most part, and then you can start farming out Range Trooper. If you're given Scout Trooper through calendars or packs or a marquee event, use him. If not, if you're getting guild currency in, use the guild store to start buying in the other troopers of Snow Trooper, Stark, and what's the other one? Snow Trooper and Stark, I think, is the only troopers that are currently in the guild store. And that will start building out. The main key to that is that you need to have them with no leadership. So Aiden doesn't start becoming available till 4C or 4D dark light side hard. So that's when you start building her up. The reason for that is that she has a vulture droid on her hard node as well. If you don't want to go down that route, you could go down Veer's Troopers, and he is just one node earlier than Iden, but doesn't have the restriction that Iden has, and you're also given Dark and Gideon to begin with, so you've got less of a build up there. So what we do with this is, there's the extra ones there. Magma Trooper and Zeb are both in Galactic War, Stark is in the Guild Store, and then Sabina's in the hard node. So we need to build these through to get through light side, dark side battles, Galactic War and Arena. So either team are good in Arena, get you below that 1000 rank, so you're getting a minimum of 400, you might even get luckier and get more, and that just helps you speed up in the early game, getting those characters built up. Once you build up the characters that you need out of there, Squad Arena doesn't really matter. You don't need to focus as much on it. So that will get you early on. So you'll start building Admirals, you've got Akbar, you've got Tarkin, you've got Kanan, you've got Leia, all sorts that we need in Squad Arena. A lot of characters that are only in that store, so that's why we prioritise getting into there early, get them done, and then we don't need to worry about it post level 85 as much. So we take them to 5 stars as a minimum before we start really focusing on phase 2 as much as possible. So basically what I mean by that is, if they're all hard node farms and you need to relieve some energy to focus on your ships, if a character is at 5 stars, for example say Hera is at 5 stars, you can stop farming Hera and start farming the ship instead, and that just takes that pressure of extra energy being used. Moving on to phase 2, our focus is the pilots. So this fleet that we're going to have is for Zetas. So Zetas is a material that totally changes the dynamic of a team. It becomes available at level 78 through fleet, and we need 6 dark side, or 6 ships, 5 dark side, and then we need one other. So we go for the just full on 6 ships, that's including the Admiral. So the first pilots that we're going to focus on is the same if you've watched the 2023 farming guide. It's TIE Pilot, Geo Soldier and Geo Spy, Sunfac, which we buy out the Guild Store. Now he's a little bit easier than before to get, and then Tarkin out that Squad Arena store, because we need to use Tarkin for that challenge. So the first fleet will look something along the lines of this. So we've got Tarkin as the fleet admiral, we've got the TIE Fighter, Geo Soldier, Geo Spy, Sunfac. Now these won't just be able to be farmed out straight away. Geo Soldier is farmed on a hard node right at the end of dark side or light side, but they are purchasable both in Galactic War and in fleet when you get to level 60. Vulture Droid works hand in hand with the initial Geo ships, calling in assists, and he's also farmed out of Iden's node. TIE Pilot is in the Cantina and is an easy farm because he not only is he farmable in Cantina, the ship is on that same node. Similarly, you could do the same with Kylo Ren Unmasked, who also is on Cantina and his ship is on the same node. So that's a variant there. TIE Bomber's just thrown in there as an extra. He doesn't need to be used, and he won't be able to be put in the fleet until later on, once you get unlock the stars on the capital ship to be able to get more reinforcements. But it's a good add-on, and it will become more apparent on the next slide. So this will lead into the next slide. So what we need to start doing is building for Fleet Arena. So I've looked at it from 3 points of view, because a lot of farming guides out there will just give you the optimal and doesn't really target all those early players coming into the game in the last year or even this year. So not everybody can get in to a good guild that is doing what's currently the Endor raid, getting the top currency, or even into a guild that is doing what's called Geonosis Territory Battle, which gives you your Mark II guild currency. So, and it can be very confusing for people looking at guides thinking, how am I not getting that currency? I know when I first started playing the game, I wasn't in a guild that was getting any of that until almost a year and a half into the game when I made my own account, my own guild. So it is very difficult to understand that that's what you need to be into, and that's where your focus should be, is getting into those good guilds. But if you can't get into them, we have a fleet for you anyway. So the first fleet is the fleet that I'm going for in the account, and that's mainly because the guild that I run is getting the currency that I need. So I may as well starting from, as I mean, to go on and getting the best fleet I possibly can, which will be the Executor requirement. So the Executor is what's classed as a Galactic Legend ship, which requires 2 characters, Relic 8, which is Admiral Piet, which isn't in this because he's not on a ship, apart from he runs a capital ship, but we don't need to put that in just now because we don't build that up. And then Boba needs to go to Relic 8, so if you can get the Mark III raid currency, prioritise this ship. It's a wee bit more farming because you need to get the Razor Crest, but that's where your priority should be, and you should take the top 10 in fleet arena very early on because of that. Lightspeed bundles, hyperdrive, dependent. It depends how fast they get there. You might be a wee bit slower whilst you're doing it free to play, but that's just how it goes with free to play. You're always going to be that couple of steps behind those that wish to pay. Second fleet then, if you don't have access to the Mark III raid currency, but you do have access to the guild territory battles of the Get 1 and Get 2, mainly the Get 2, i.e. doing Geo territory battle, then your priority should be Grievous and his fleet. Now we've already built 4 of his ships up. We build up another one of IG-88's ship, and then we look at the Hyena Bomber, and we focus buying Grievous as a character out of the fleet arena. So we don't need to buy Razor Crest, which is in the fleet arena. We buy Grievous every time he comes up, and then as soon as Hyena Bomber's node appears, we start farming that up, and that gives us that fleet. Now that's not saying if you go for Executor you can't go for Grievous as well. You can, you just want to prioritise the Executor requirements first and then move on to this one. So what happens if you're not in a territory battle, GOTB guild, or an Endor raid guild, maybe you're still in the starter guild that doesn't get very much, then what you need to do is prioritise the following fleet. The Rebels. So we do Akbar with Raven's Claw, Biggs, Biston's U-Wing, Cassian's U-Wing, and then we work on getting the the Y-Wing Bomber and the Millennium Falcon. A substitute for these ships to begin with can be Ghost and Phantom, which depends on what you farmed on the first teams for Phoenix, because that's their ships, and that's what you could do there with the fleet. So why is fleet important? Fleet arena is important because you could get up to 400 crystals per day, which can totally change your account, especially for your refresh. So to begin with, you might be able to maybe refresh one type of energy once per day or once every other day. Once you get this established, you'll be able to do 3 energy refreshes and a couple of cantina refreshes without so you could do 3 normal energy, either 1 fleet or 1 mod energy, and then a cantina energy, and that would use all your crystals up for income for the day, but you get a lot of energy build out of that, and that's the reason why you want to have crystals. Also, crystals are good for refreshing nodes such as the battle to get executor to executrix to 7 stars, the executor when it comes around you could pay for extra refreshes there if you've got that income coming in, and that's why you want to prioritise the fleet arena early on. So, talking about crystals, let's get into the economy. So, the focus of the account will to be building a good solid economy. The economy being zetas, mod materials, and chirotechs, as well as a bit of credits. So, the first 2 teams we farm out gives us 2 assault battles. Assault battles give us units, and when you get to challenge tier 1, you start getting zetas. That's the main priority. Everything after that could be fine tuned to get the higher up materials. So Phoenix will get us Sith troops and Empire units for the first couple of nodes from the assault battles, because they're both Rebel and Phoenix. That covers 2 assault battles. Imperial troopers will get us let me just see here. Iron troopers will get us rebels on 2 assault battles, so they will get us even more rebel shards coming in, and they will both eventually get us the zetas. Okay, Ewoks. So bit controversy here. People don't like farming Ewoks apart from getting 3PO with minimum investment into them. We're going to farm on this guide Ewoks pretty early. In terms of once we've established our fleet, this will be our 3rd priority for our economy. That being said, is because it will give us wicket shards if you could get through the unique battle. They will also give us our separatists early. You can, with not a lot of investment or not a lot of farming, be able to do the first 2 assault battles that either require Ewoks or Knots or Jedi. We could build these up relatively quick. Galactic War gives us Tebow, Guild Store gives us Elder, Logray and Paplu, and then we just need to farm out Chirpa once we have the ship's finished on Cantina, or the pilot's finished on Cantina, and he's in Cantina 5. That gives us a starting Ewok team. I don't know the gear requirements that you would need to, but with the gear change to get through the ATST battle, but with the gear changes you can purchase a lot of the gear relatively easy. So that will give us wicket shards, early separatist shards, and then once you clear that ATST challenge once, you open up the second one, and that allows you to use any team in your roster, and it gives you, I think, 2 zetas each time you complete it, and that comes around once a month. So there's an extra 2 zetas on your account. Also, a lot of these requirements go for one of the Galactic Legends that I'll talk about at the end. So once you get what you need to do for your Ewoks, you want to start focusing on a Jedi team to push that assault battle even further and actually do it more efficiently. The team I've chosen is a Qui-Gon Jinn, Anakin, General Kenobi, Varys Offee and Ahsoka. The reason for this is it's a good team in Grand Arena when you fire on the Qui-Gon Omicron. Now the leader, being Qui-Gon, might not be efficient for that assault battle. If not, look at doing another Jedi team. But this Jedi team should be able to get you through. If you can't get through the first couple of stages of the assault battle with Ewoks, then this team most certainly will get you at least to the bonus tier. Then we're going to look at Sith. So through it all, we'll build out teams through each of the transitioning of the requirements for fleets, etc. We'll have rebels, so we'll build Palpatine teams. I'm not going to go into that. I'll do that whilst I'm building the account, and you'll see that as I progress the account. But through all the farming that we've done so far, we'll have access to get Palpatine. We could farm out Darth Talon, Darth Traya, Savage Opress, and Darth Vader. That gives us our Sith. Now the leader doesn't really matter. We could use any of them apart from Talon as leader. The optimal could be either Traya or Palpatine, and that's just for the assault battle, and it's entirely your choice. But they will give us. Let me just have a look what the Sith give us. I believe the Sith give us Jedi. It's not really telling me because I forgot to put that one down. So I believe the Sith will give us Jedi, but then it will then work in to give us more Zetas. So the next team we need to build would be Inquisitors. The reason why you want to get Inquisitors, it will get you Jedi. It's another Zeta challenge. Another Kyrotech challenge. This is all Kyrotechs that will give you apart from the Ewoks, so mainly focus on getting Wicket and Zetas. So they'll give you Kyrotechs, and Kyrotechs is the biggest bottleneck in the game currently, especially when you're trying to build all these teams up into relics. So Inquisitors work hand in hand to get you into a good guild that might be focusing on the Rise of the Empire territory battle, which is the freshest territory battle and the highest amount of currency that you get. A lot of guilds look for your Inquisitors built up, so if that's what your focus is, you can build these guys earlier than maybe your Jedi or your Sith. Prioritise that as depending on what you're looking for out your account. This would also lead into Grand Inquisitor. More importantly, gives you more shards to work with. Now, you'll start getting lots and lots of shards, which means that you might have characters that you've 7-starred already and you're getting shards for. So that will directly convert into shard shop currency, so you'll get passive income that way through shard shop. The next team is the Dash team, Dash Rendar. So this is a variant of that team. So we've got Dash, Vandor Tree, Young Han, L3, and then we could either choose Hondo or Kira. Now Hondo would work into one of the next team's requirements or one of the next journeys requirements. Kira doesn't really. Hondo's easier to farm now, he's also double drop now. I would say I am personally going to preference Hondo, but it's your choice. So this will net you around 26 Zetas per month, which eventually will have an overspill every 4 months where you get a free Zeta onto a character, because every 20 Zetas you get to use it on an ability, and then around 70 Kyrotechs per month of each of the types, so it's 140 in total because you've got 2 types of Kyrotech, and then mod slice and mats every month. So journey and factions then. These are the main journeys that you should look to build before even thinking of a Galactic Legends. Now that's not to say that you go for all of them, but you should look at least getting a couple of these. So personally, you should pick one of the journeys. You've done all the prior slides. The next step is to pick one of these, which will help in the next in GAC and in Territory War. So my priority would be to go for CLS, especially that I'm going for Executor, so I'm building up my Bounty Hunters, of which on the economy I forgot to add in because I ran out of space on the slide. You can build up Bounty Hunters / Scoundrels. Dash Rendar works for that as well, for your credit heist and your training droid challenge that comes up sporadically. So that's another part in your economy. If you build up your Bounty Hunters, you go for Chewbacca. If you built up your Ewoks, you can go for 3PO, and then that finishes off your CLS team when you just farm out 2PO. That's 3PO and Chewie together, which is a hard mode farm. So I would prioritise getting CLS up and running, because they're a staple team in Swgoh, and he directly goes into the guide for getting a Jedi Knight Luke. Other priorities I would then go for would be Grand Inquisitor to get that assault battle, and then either Dr. Aphra or Starkiller, depending on what I've already farmed. So if I farm Darth Talon, I farm Dash, and I farm Mara Jade for another team, then it's only Kyle Katarn. If they're close to being done, I'd go for Starkiller. If I farm more of the requirements for Aphra, go for Aphra, depending on which one you prefer. If you're struggling for Jedi for the assault battle, prioritise Jedi Knight Revan. His journey guide is relatively easy. Same with Sith. You could farm Darth Revan out, and that would give you a good solid team for that assault battle if the Sith that you're using isn't quite cutting it. Darth Malak would then become a farmable out of these two, but this is all dependent if you've managed to secure the fleet that you need to use for getting that economy sorted. So after all that, the faction part of this guide is relatively simple. Once you've done all this and you picked your guide, start building out teams from different factions after you finish the one you're working on. That's the key point, is finish your farm of what you're currently working on. Whether it takes you slightly longer to farm out Phoenix or Iden's Troopers, then it just means that your next stage of your assault battle farms takes that wee bit longer. This game is a marathon, it's not a sprint. The only way you can sprint is putting a lot of money into it and buying lots of packs or crystal refreshes. So when you're looking at your next team, think about what faction it is. So this is in the case of you've got your fleet up and running, so you've got that economy coming in. You've done your starting teams, you've got your assault battle teams as much as you can. Then you start building out each faction. So you could look at what's upcoming from CG, what have they already announced. Maybe it's a new raid by this stage and you need to focus on getting teams ready for that. Then focus on them. If you don't have anything, just build it faction by faction, which will allow you to be ahead of the curveball for if CG throw a new game mode or new raid out, or even a new Galactic Challenge, Galactic Legend, and it will also cover a lot of the Galactic Challenges doing that, because they give you more materials for upgrading your characters and omegas. So the more factions you start building out, the more likely you'll get more resources in that way, and therefore it will feed into your economy of your account, and it will become more and more efficient as you go on. Once you start doing that, I would prioritise as well the team depending on what you're working for, either the journey or the Galactic Legend. So for example, if you're working towards Starkiller, then build the teams out for Starkiller. So build a rebel team, a rebel fighter team. That gives you the tick in the box for rebel fighters, and it also gives you a tick in the box for using one of the units that's going for Starkiller. So phase 6 is choose your Galactic Legend. This is the last slide of you'll be glad to know. I would right now, in the current state of the game, the best possible first Galactic Legend, minus the long grinds for some of the units to 7 stars, is Galactic Legend Leia. She doesn't have any fleet requirements, any extra journey guide steps apart from I think R2, which is relatively easy. The only downside is that she's single drop just now because she only came out this year, so won't be till next year, but by the time you're farming out her requirements she'll be double drop. And you've got Nisa, which is an Ewok. You've got Scout Trooper, which is on fleet nodes, which is obviously a trooper. You've got Captain Rex, which you're farming for Phoenix, but you start them early. And then you've got Drogon, which is on a Cantina node, so it's relatively easy to farm him when he gets double dropped, it'll be even faster. They are all working to the teams that we're already building. Once you maybe look at Leia, then it's only a hop, skip and a jump to go and get Jedi Knight Luke, and then open the opportunity to get Jabba and Jedi Master Luke. And that's the sort of trifecta GLs currently as it stands. And then the game's your oyster, you can pick whatever you wish to go for. Thanks for watching, and remember, stay salty and look forward to this farming guide in action in the new year. Have a great holiday, and I'll see you in the new year.